Hello and welcome. My name is Brian McAvoy.
And I'm Tim Shank. This is episode 16 of Two Cyborgs and a Microphone, brought to you by Twin Cities Plus, creating an intelligent, capable, and resilient community.
Today's topic is cyborgs in science fiction.
This one could get a little weird.
So of course, like most grinders, since I was a kid, cyborgs have just been so cool and neat, and they did things that I couldn't do, and I wanted to be like them and be them and have these, superhuman abilities, but not lose my humanity. And I was inspired by some I just thought were cool, and I couldn't get enough of them.
Which ones were you inspired by?
Well, ever since I was real little, because I guess the first cyborg I realized that I was exposed to was Inspector Gadget.
I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, That was a good show.
I watched it every day.
I
I don't know. I don't remember
Right?
my childhood much, but I remember that I watched that a lot. That was fun.
Some of those kid shows age pretty well, and I suspect that's one that would, just because it's got a simple enough premise. It's got goofy characters. It's got a good voice actor for
elevator
Inspector
shoes.
Gadget.
Who doesn't like elevator shoes? Nobody I like.
I'd give my legs for elevator shoes built in.
I've always liked Cyborgs, and Johnny Mnemonic, I think, stood out to me. I think I was 16, I don't know, maybe 20, 16, 18 when that came out. And that was cool when somebody had a chip in their head where they could record information and smuggle it. That was cool.
I knew he was going to be at the top of your list. I knew it. And actually, Keanu Reeves played two cyborgs that I can think of, because in The Matrix, Neo, the physical body of the character, he had the brain implant, all this stuff going to his spine and stuff. So he was technically a cyborg twice.
Yeah. You're going to lose respect for me or turn out to hate me or something. But you know what? I like the Borg. I like them. I think that's awesome. And as gray and dark and whatever as they make it look, that's perfection. That really, really is perfection.
I don't know if I'd go as far as perfection. My favorite Star Trek cyborg was actually Geordi LaForge. He had the visor. That was part of him. He had the implants on the side of his head.
No, he was so annoying. I hated him.
There's some good parts about the Borg that I can appreciate. I mean, who wouldn't want a laser strapped to their head their entire life? But Geordi was
Let's talk about the Borg some more, because I think you're missing something here. Everybody is at the same level. There's no classes. There's no races. Everybody is upgraded to the top peak performance of everything. Everybody has all of the knowledge of the entire collective at all times. What is wrong? I mean, how can that not be just the coolest thing? One mind, one body.
I think there's a lot of validity to that. The thing that makes them villains is that they don't give people a choice. And that's what makes them the bad guys. And that's why they had to wear black and fly around in a scary ship.
Yeah, maybe they should re-record that, paint the ship pink. Instead of saying resistance is futile, say, come join us.
We have cookies. They have been perfected over 4 millennia. The cookies are delicious. I'm like, man, the Borg has a good platform. I'm not so much going to vote Borg as just go to one of their polling centers and never come out.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I think if the Borg were branded differently, they could have been a way better entity, because if they'd have just flown in and been like, hey, yo, we have a hive mind and we'll share it. We've got not necessarily infinite happiness, but we have a lot of information. We would value your presence here. You may or may not be immortalized by the process. I think some people just be like, sign me up.
Just a small tweak to the coding in there would just put a little smile on their face, stop with all the gray drab stuff.
Yeah, they don't get out much.
Perk it up a little bit. It would just take like 3 lines of code in the collective and they'd all be happy. I'm looking, and something I never think of as cyborgs is the Star Wars cyborgs. I mean,
yeah, they've got a few.
Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and I mean that's something I don't know if maybe I came across that so early in my life that I don't consider them cyborgs.
They didn't play up the cyborg aspect of them at all. They were like, okay, these are guys, and they have mechanics supporting them. They didn't. They definitely didn't use the mechanics to make them more powerful. They kept Vader alive, so they were walking life support. They replaced Luke's hand. They didn't add a laser beam to it. If they just added some, a plasma blaster, yeah, then people would be like, "Oh, he's a cyborg."
Yeah, it's sad that they didn't, because I think that was short-sighted.
Okay, wait, no, I'm mistaken, because General Grievous, all of a sudden this dude had 4 arms, he could walk on ceilings and do all kinds of good stuff. Now, I'm thinking of not General Grievous from the live-action movies, but the animated ones, because he is ridiculously powerful for somebody who's not force sensitive. Like I said, all those things, like he can just go into a vacuum. He can cling to ceilings. He's extremely dexterous. And it wasn't until Mace Windu did a force crush to his chest that he became that rickety old cyborg. Star Wars and Star Trek definitely have their interesting cyborgs.
Yeah, I just don't think of them as cyborgs for some reason. There's something in my head that just prevents me from thinking that. What about RoboCop? Yeah, cool. Totally upgraded. Still has his personality, not some mindless drone. All kinds of crazy augmentations.
The remake a few years ago, that one, they took his personality away, at least until he overrode it in the oh-so-predictable point where he overcomes his programming. But yeah, I know you're referring to the 1980s movies, which I never really got into those. I was not a big fan. But yeah, definitely a cyborg with... it was his walking life support, but at the same time, it made him powerful and more than human.
Yeah. So something that I think it pays to bring up here is that so many of the cyborgs presented in media, in science fiction, I think most of them are of the evil slant, are portrayed as an evil character. Definitely not Inspector Gadget.
No, not all. I mean, Luke Skywalker was a cyborg. In fact, at the end of Episode 7, one of the first things you see is his distinctive mechanical hand. And it right away says, "Oh, that's Luke," but it also says, "That dude's a cyborg." Steve Austin, $6 Million Man, cyborg.
That's
good guy.
Early cyborg right there, as far as in media.
Right.
In movies or TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anime had some way back. The Japanese were doing that quite a while ago. I think they had that popularized a lot more. I was looking through Wikipedia, and I was looking at the occurrences of cyborgs in media, and I think in the past 10 or 15 years, there have been more instances of cyborg characters than the rest of human history. So that's... If that gives you an idea where cyborg is going in the mainstream, I would have to reassess my judgment that cyborgs aren't going to grow as fast as you seem to think. From a pop culture standpoint, they're coming real fast.
Agreed. So there's a few superheroes. Tony Stark's one, pretty cool. Has this power supply in his chest that keeps him alive. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's one that I kind of don't see as a cyborg, because his power is powered by his implant, and he is a cyborg. But yeah, I don't think of him primarily as a cyborg.
And among the superhero world, there's Dr. Octopus, and a lot of them in the superheroes.
Oh, the comic book world is littered with them, DC and Marvel. I mean, DC just straight up has one called Cyborg.
Mm-hmm. One of the rare good cyborgs.
Yeah. I think what are some bad cyborgs also. James Bond had Dr. No. He had a mechanical hand, although in the book just had a claw hand. So take that, Inspector Gadget. There was also Jaws, who had the crazy titanium grill. Oh, one of the earlier ones that I remember that is still kind of popular is Doctor Who, and they were way up on the timeline on the Wikipedia.
The Robo-Men?
As far as Cybermen.
Cybermen, that's right, Cybermen.
It's the Cybermen, and they're basically the Borg. They're always assimilating people without their permission.
Except for the lamest Borg ever.
Pretty much. I mean, they don't really have a hive mind. There's always somebody controlling them, but yeah, they share some similarities with the Borg, but they're not the Borg. There's also the Daleks, who they appear completely machine-like, but inside there's a living creature that was just pretty much bred to hate. Mm-hmm. Give him a blonde wig.
Yeah, they purify, exterminate. I don't know if they could be called cyborg. I mean, if I'm up to speed on my Doctor Who mythology, they are, I think, a human cell, but they're all single-celled organisms, if that's correct. I think that's true.
They had like eyes and a mouth and stuff.
I could be wrong, and probably there's a million Doctor Who fans that'll correct me. Whovians. See, I should just shut up right now because I shouldn't have said it because there's such a big following that people might get really precise with what I should be saying.
There was one that I didn't find on the list that was a cyborg, and that's the Toclophane. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the Toclophane were these floating death spheres that go around just committing wholesale slaughter, and inside there is a human face in every single one of them. That freaked me out when I first saw it.
Wow, where's that from?
That's from Doctor Who.
Oh.
Yeah, that wasn't on the list of Doctor Who villains, because they weren't the villains, they were the minions of, I think it was the Master. But yeah, those ones freaked me out. Although once you opened them up and they're like, "Oh, you're the Doctor, we're so glad to see you," and like, "Oh, you're not so bad."
A disembodied face.
I mean, you've wiped out civilizations, but, you know.
I would just close the door and walk away. If I saved some, I don't know. I haven't seen these episodes, but you know, if I was saving, you know, going around doing good deeds, and I saved some floating ball that was running around, and I opened it up and there was a face.
Nope.
I wouldn't even. There's no question. I'd just close it up and walk away.
I'm going to go find a coloring book.
I'm looking at the list.
I found one on the list that kind of made me happy. Invader Zim. At birth, all the Urkins were given those backpacks with mechanical arms and other robotics built into it. And so they're all cyborgs. And I just like Invader Zim and Jonan Vasquez. And
Manny faces.
What?
Manny faces from He-Man. I dug He-Man as a kid. I mean, I had all the He-Man action figures and a little cat and the little vehicles and all that. Manny faces. And you could spin his face and he could become either happy or sad or something else. Mm-hmm. What kind of augmentation would that be? That'd be pretty awesome, huh?
Be like timeshare for a body. Like, I can't afford to have a body 24 hours a day, so I'll rent it out when I'm sleepy.
Well, yeah, you get twice as much sleep. I mean, because there's 3 8-hour periods in a day, so you'd split it up evenly. But then that means that you're either sleeping 16 hours a day or 8 hours a day. You're just kind of in the dark, hearing muffled stuff go on around you. That's no fun.
Well, maybe at that point you wouldn't have ears. It would just be like, oh, I'm in complete silence, or I can see the inside of a helmet.
Yeah, sensory deprivation for 8 hours a day. That'd do a lot for
Or maybe
psyche.
You're so mentally linked you can just get on the internet and they're like, yeah, okay, your 8 hours of alertness are done. I could see that being like a weird sci-fi premise to a story of like, yep, we had to tune down the population of Earth. But some people found that they could rent out their bodies to people who were, old and supposed to pass on. They could afford to rent a body.
Just wait till we're brain uploading, Brian. That's going to be the reality. We're going to have a few people out here in the world, and you're going to be able to rent out the body. So cool.
I think it would be neat to have, to be able to inhabit an extremely athletic body. That would be worth the experience. Or, to have a female body for a day or a week or a month or something.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, so that's what it's like. I get it.
And 7 of 9... the hottest Borg ever, right? I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
There was a couple others I wanted to mention because I like anime, no doubt, and Ghost in the Shell is one of my favorites. I enjoyed the movie back when it first came out, and then they had the series, which were really good. The main character, Motoko Kusanagi, basically when she was born, she had so many problems that the only thing for her to do was just they put her brain inside of a robotic body. Bam, cyborg. Her partner, Bateau, or one of the people in her division, Bateau, they showed a really neat scene in, I can't remember if it was the movies or one of the series, but he's chasing a suspect down an alleyway, and it's dark. There's no street lights. They start showing it through his eyes, and they show him, first-person shooter style running, and he can't see anything, so he blinks, and all of a sudden everything's in infrared. And I was like, that was so cool. That's all I needed to see. I want cyborg eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, how can you not?
There was one other I remember from the list, Molly Millions from Neuromancer by William Gibson. Now, I read Neuromancer, and I was not a fan of that book. I liked the premise, I liked the setting and everything, I didn't like the writing style. Neuromancer is also where they introduce the concept and phrase of the Matrix, and that's where people go to get information, have mental combat, and all this stuff that you'd expect from a place called the Matrix. Molly Millions, let's see, she had cyborg eyes, she had razor sharp claws under her fingernails, some other stuff. Her eyes were capped off, basically. They had to reroute her tear ducts to her throat. And in one scene, something makes her cry, and she spits. And I thought,
yeah, that's cool.
That's a neat little bit of realism that I can appreciate.
Well, I'm looking down this list, and what this makes me think is I need to watch some more TV or something.
Nothing should make you think that.
A lot here that I'm interested to see.
You know, we've said more about cyborgs in the past 15 years than we have the past 15,000. Did we get all the cyborgs you thought were cool? If not, let us know in the comments and we'll talk about them.
Thanks for listening. We'd like to invite you to email us at 2cyborgs@twincitiesplus.org.
And here's some exciting news. You can put 2 cyborgs on your back. We have ultra stylish hooded sweatshirts with the 2 Cyborgs logo in all its glory available. Support our podcast and look fabulous doing it. This is Brian McAvoy.
And this is Tim Shank. You have been listening to 2 Cyborgs and a Microphone, brought to you by Twin Cities Plus, creating an intelligent, capable, and resilient community.
Like, follow, share, +1, and don't forget to subscribe on any of our popular podcast services, including Google Play Music, iTunes, and Stitcher. Help us move up that podcast ladder by subscribing and commenting on iTunes. Please, tell us, who's your favorite cyborg that we missed?